My grandpa, he's been in America for a very long time. He came here in 1956 from Bangladesh, or as he says, what used to be East Pakistan in those days, to get his PhD. And he got his PhD while having a wife and 3 kids, which is no ordinary feat. He had an incredible mind and a very incredible work ethic. And after he got his PhD, he worked here for a couple of years, and then went back to his beloved Bangladesh to teach in Kuwait. And then after that, he came back to America to work in IBM and has been in America ever since. Now, my grandpa loves Bangladesh more than anybody I know. But he loves America too, and he embodies the qualities that make both nations shared and hard-working attitude. But also, he is the champion of the cultures of values of Bangladesh. And he's my role model. And everything I am and all the values and character I have, I got from him. So we're here today to celebrate his 80th birthday. He's seen so much, and he knows quite a bit. So I thought it would be appropriate to share with you guys today some of the things he taught me as a kid growing up. So when I was young, Grandpa would always tell me that there's no free lunch. Anything you have to work for. And even though my parents were both doctors, and I could buy any toy or video game I wanted, he'd always stop me and say, you can't have that. And I said, why? He says, I'm going to teach you the value of money. And he did. He taught me how to save, how to invest, and also a lot of other useful things. Like he taught me how to fix things that break around the house, which is like a very useful skill to have. And he never stopped telling me how important it is to have an education. Always said you have to get your education. And with regard to colleges, he's telling me this funny anecdote. He'd say, you go to a place like Harvard to learn how to use your mouth, and you go to a place like MIT to learn how to use your brain. That kind of affected my decision when picking a college. He's a big fan of the wisdom of Mark Twain. He had these 2 quotes that always tell me. The first one was, a gold mine is nothing more than a hole in the ground with a liar on top. And the second quote, which is very relevant for me given the kind of work I do, he'd say, there's liars, there's damn liars, and then there's statisticians. So I want to end this speech with telling one of the stories that's my personal favorite one that Grandpa used to tell me when I was a kid, and one that's kind of full of very important life lessons. And it's a story of the non-conformist bird. So every year the birds fly south for the winter. But this year one of these non-conformist birds decided to stay behind and tough out the winter. But October turns into just November, and the temperature drops, and he realizes he's made a mistake. So he begins to fly south for the winter in the middle of November. But it's really cold, and he couldn't fly too far before he crashes to the ground. And he lay on the ground, cold, and alone, and miserable. And he's cursing himself for not going south earlier with the rest of the birds. So while he's sitting there, a cow passes by the bird and takes a crap on him. But the bird wasn't upset, because the warmth of his dung was such a relief from the cold of the air around him. And in fact, he was so happy, he began to sing. And while he's doing this, a cat passes by, and the cat hears this bird song coming from this pile of crap. So he begins to investigate what's going on with it. He pokes around and he picks out the bird, and then eats the bird. So there's 3 lessons from this story. The first one is, somebody who craps on you isn't always your enemy. And somebody who rescues you from the crap you're in isn't always your friend. And the third lesson, the most important, is when you're in a deep pile of crap, it's best to keep your mouth shut. So I hope that I can tell this story and other stories Grandpa told me over the years to my grandkids one day. Grandpa, thank you for everything you've given me. I am really honored to have a grandpa as cool as you. And I hope we can do this again when you turn 100.